Hello, this is K.Jolie with Crochet Basics, and in this episode we're making a back to school pouch. This one is more or less for the ladies, you know, something to put in your backpack or your purse for back to school so that you don't have to, you know, even really give it a second thought and you know it's there. This one I'm filming as a for a beginner. All right, this one's pretty basic. Chaining, single crochet, some slip stitch, and that's about it on this one. So let's get this going, yeah? So what you need is acrylic yarn, size 4. I'm using 2 different colors, mainly to show, so that it shows on the stitches, okay? A button of some sort. I usually go for these. They're toggle buttons. They have the loop in the back. So I'm going in an H hook, which is an 8, size 8 hook. US sizes, and it's a 5mm size hook. For the button you need a needle and thread, scissors, a tape measure is always welcomed. I said needle and thread, tape measure, scissors, and I guess that's it. Now this one is a beginner one, okay? All you need to know how to do is chain, single crochet, and slip stitch, and I'm going to show you how to decrease properly. And this one, with this pouch, I like this one mainly because once you make it once, and with all the decreases, and you completely finish it, you can take the way the decreases are done and make it any size, pretty much any size you want. So if you want to go bigger and make a clutch, you can do that. You know, if you want to go smaller for like a little coin purse, or you know, to put your rings in when you put your when you put your jewelry away and stuff like that, you know, things like that. So that's why I do like this one. Okay, so we're gonna get this started. We're gonna do a slip knot to start. So you would, if you don't know, you would wrap and pull through your tail. You make a loop, pull through, and that's your slip knot. So I usually don't use a slip knot, but this one I am, because I want this to be as beginner friendly as possible. So even though I don't normally use a slip knot, most crocheters do when they start working back and forth. Alright, so with this one we're going to chain. So you'll yarn over, you'll pull through, and you'll make your next loop. So we're going to chain 19. All right. So we're going to work. We're going to skip this chain closest to the hook, and you're going to work back in a single crochet. So you'll go under one side of the braid, you'll yarn over, pull through, you have 2 loops, and pull through again, both loops, and you're back to 1. Alright, so we're just single crochet on this one, and you'll work the whole row for this with and you'll end up with 18 single crochets. So, but for this one, all you need to know how to do is chain, single crochet, and then slip stitch. And I'll show you how we'll, you know, do the decreases and the button loop. Okay, now if this curls a lot when you're picking up your first row, if it's like looking like this, you can either go a hook size bigger, because the hook size bigger will loosen up that chain and make it lay flatter. That's one thing you can do. Or you can, you're pulling too tight when you're doing your first chain. So if you can loosen your tension, it'll help to keep it from spiraling, you know, from becoming such a curl. But we're gonna go back into these stitches, so it'll flatten out, okay? So when you get to your end, you'll chain one and turn your work. And then you're gonna go into both sides of the braid. So here's one side of the braid and there's the other side of the braid. So you'll go in through both sides of the braid, yarn over, pull up a loop, you have two, and then yarn over, pull through both two. And that's, you're working your single crochets now. And you'll work the whole row in the single crochet. And make sure you pick up that last chain there, your starting chain on that one, because that's the stitch. So you should have 18 stitches because we chain 19. So after you pick up your last one, you'll chain one and turn your work. All right, so you have 2 rows in on this, and let me give you just a quick measurement because we're just going to work up in the 18 stitches. All right, so I have about 5 inches, just under 5 inches across for my piece. So, but you'll continue on for row 3. Okay, so if you're working it along with me, you can pause here and until you work your stitches, and then we'll work the end together. The decreases and the button loop we're going to work together. Okay, so row 3, you're just going to repeat row 2 until you get to row 30. Once you finish row 30, that's when we're going to start doing our decreases. And with that, you should end up with it's about 8 inches long. And don't worry if this side is curling, like if it's curling while you're working, because it's going to be attached later on. So it's not going to just be flailing or, you know, in the way or any kind of thing. So after 15 rows, just a little check-in here. After 15 rows, you should have close to 4 inches in length. So, all right, so I just finished row 30 on here. And two things I wanted to say. If you're a beginner to this, to crochet, if your pattern, if you're not picking up all the stitches, if you're not picking up and then the chaining one and stuff, your work will start to go on an angle, and it'll you know, it'll shift. It won't be a straight piece. And that goes, you know, not just for this goes for other projects and stuff. Okay. And then another thing is, and this happens to me a lot actually, when I'm crocheting, depending on the piece, I have a tendency of changing my tension. So I'll be all loosey-goosey in the beginning and then start going tighter, or, you know, vice versa. And then that can make it like, you know, shift where I am picking up all my stitches, but it's going in. You know, at some point it's going, you know, more narrow and the stitches are getting tighter, you know, and you can tell when you feel it, like, you know, if you're like, oh, did I miss a stitch? No, your tension changed. Because I know even oh, if you're new. Okay, so a lot of times in the morning, when I'm crocheting, I'm caffeinated. So my tension is different than at night when I'm just relaxing with my feet up and, you know, crocheting. So that's something, even though it seems like it sounds kind of silly or something, but your tension can change, you know, how tight you're holding and all type of, and how tight you're pulling the yarn. Okay, that's something to keep in mind, just in general. All right, so after row 30, I have I think about 7.5 inches. I have around 7.5 inches. So anywhere 7.5 to 8 inches should be the length on this after row 30, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Yeah, okay, 30. So now for row 31, so you'll do your chain 1, and we're gonna work some stitches together. All right, so you'll do your chain 1. So you'll go into your first space, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 2 on the hook. You'll push through your next space, yarn over, pull through. You have 1, 2, 3 on the hook. Yarn over, so yarn over means yarn over the hook. All right, you're picking up the yarn. And you'll pull through all 3. All right, and that's a decrease. That's how you crochet 2 together. TOG is the abbreviation for that, T-O-G, when it's together, TOG. All right, so from there, we're going to work down the row, and we're going to decrease. We're going to work down the row, and then we're going to take away 2 more stitches at the very end. So you'll leave that alone, and you'll work your 1 single crochet down the row, and we'll decrease again at the end. All right, so I'm at my end, so we're going to do the same thing. Push through, yarn over, pull up a loop, push through the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop. You had 3, and pull through all 3. And that should leave you with 16 stitches. That should leave you with 16 stitches because we just dropped 2 stitches. So for row 31, 16 stitches. So for row 32, we're going to do the same exact thing. So you'll go in your first, you'll pull up a loop, you'll go in the next, pull up a loop, 1, 2, 3 on the hook, and pull through. And then work down the row. Alright, so then we'll do it again. So that should leave you with 14 stitches for row 32. I'm sorry, I have a loose yarn here to do the border with, and I got tangled. Okay, so you should be down to 14 stitches for row 32. Okay, row 33, we're going to do the same. Same decrease. You'll crochet the first 2 tog, and then 1 down the row, and the last 2 tog. So you should end up with 12. So for each decrease, you know, we're dropping 2, or we're crocheting 2 together. All right, so we're going to continue on with the decreases for row 34, and that'll leave you with 12. No, 10. Now I'm reading my pattern wrong. Oopsies. Okay. So I hope you're getting this. You know, after you make this and you see how it's done, you could chain as many as you want and just work across. And then when it's time, make it as wide as you want, this way. And then you just follow the decreases with dropping, 2 on each end. And then you can make it a clutch. You can make it, a little tiny coin purse or lipstick purse, whatever it is, you want. So that's really why I like this one, because even though it's so simple, to me it's simple, it is, as long as you know how to single crochet, chain, and I'm showing you how to do the decrease, you can do this one, no doubt. And then practice, practice gets you where you want to go, of course. So now this was row, so that should have been row 35. So for row 35 you should be down to 8 single crochets. So row 36 we're going to do it again. And then you'll end up with 6. So it's should be getting smaller. Now for row 37, I think row 37 is where we're gonna do our button loop here. Oh, definitely. Okay, so now for row 37, we're gonna make a button loop. So have your button ready. You need your button so that you can measure, you can make sure that the button goes through before you end off, okay? So have your button. I have a little, it looks like a little sand dollar. And this is from Dress It Up is the name of the company that I always try and give you the names of the companies that I get the really cute stuff from. All right, so this is a little sand dollar. I thought it was super cute. So here we're gonna make our button loop. So for, I'm twisted. Okay. So we're going to repeat with the decrease though. So you'll crochet the first 2 together. You're going to chain 2, skip 2. So 1, 2. We're skipping 2 and then do your decrease, your last 2, you're going to crochet together, tog. All right. You'll chain 1. And before you start the next row, just make sure your button's gonna fit. So whatever kind of button, if you have a flat button, a toggle, one that's bigger than, just make sure. If it's very, very tight, do an extra chain. All right, do an extra chain. If it's super tight, And this will loosen up, even if it's like way tight, it will loosen up with use. It will loosen up with use. So just so you know. All right, so at this point, what did I say? So we have 2 chains and then another one, right? So we actually only have 2 single crochets for row 37 and 2 chains. All right, so we're gonna end this off now. So make sure your button fits. All right, so you'll chain 1, turn your work. You'll go into the first and do a single crochet, and then you'll do a single crochet in where the chain is, as long as you only have 2 chains. All right, 2 chains, you'll do 1 single crochet, and then you'll do a single crochet in the last from there. So you should have 3 single crochets for row 38. So now after row 38, you'll have 3 single crochet left. Do not do a slip. Don't do a slip stitch. Just pull your tail and cut off. But again, to reiterate and repeat myself repeatedly, make sure your button fits. Or look for another button, okay? But, you know, whichever you like. So you'll pull a tail and you'll cut off, but you're not going to weave in yet. We're going to weave in at the very end. So this is what your piece should look like. All right, this is what your piece should look like. Am I zoomed in? I am zoomed in. Oh, surprise. All right, so mine measures about 5 across, and from very end to end, 9, oh, like almost exactly 9. Like 9 inches. That's interesting, I guess. Okay. So now, from here, if you have, what we're going to do is we're going to attach on the bottom. All right. So this is what it's going to look like. And then your button would go there. Well, your button would go here, and then when it's closed, your button would go there. All right. So you'll fold your piece, and it goes under where you started doing your decreases. You'll fold your piece in half, and it goes under, and you can pin it if you like. I don't use, as a personal preference, I don't normally use straight pins with crochet. If I do, it's the ones that have the big bobble head or some kind of bright head so that I can see it. Let me see. Sometimes I have loose, let's see. Okay, as a preference, I don't use straight pins, especially not the small sewing ones. Okay, but if it has a bright bobble head, something where it's going to show and you're not going to miss one while you're sewing it together, or, you know, accidentally leave one in, because it is painful. If you don't know, if you've never accidentally stabbed yourself, you know, it's a surprise. You know, that's nobody's expecting there. All right, so I don't normally use straight pins. What I will do a lot with the crochet is I'll use the stitch markers. Let's see if I find one. Sorry, I got my bag of tricks is all jumbled. All right, so these are great. I have a bunch of different ones of these. All right, so you can pin it if you know, just to make sure it's going to stay nice and even, and you know, you'd follow the row across. All right, so you'd follow this row across when attaching to make sure that it's you know, it stays where it's supposed to, and then you'll check it anyway. All right, so with your border color. All right, and this is just single crochet and chain also. So that's why I say this one is, you know, like you know, as long as you know how to single crochet and you can keep your tension, this is like a good beginner one, because I showed you how to do the decrease, and then the button loop is just a chain, you know, so easier. And I think I'm going to crochet it from the outside with the outside facing. Okay, so you'll attach in the corner, bottom corner, and we're just going to single crochet it closed. All right, so you'll go right through. You'll chain one, and just make sure you're picking up both pieces. You're going through both pieces, and you just work a single crochet per row, at least one per row, and you just pull right through. Okay, if you want, you can go, if you want to sew it closed, you can sew it closed. All right, and this one, either 1 or 2 times. So easier than not, you know, I think, and then you're learning different technique. Okay, so you're just going to crochet it closed. And if you want to go through, like I said, if you want to go through, you know, each loop twice, you can do that. Whatever makes you happy. you know, and then also you make it again, you know. If you like making it, make it again. You can make it different sizes. All you have to do is follow the decreases and then how you do the button loop. And you're good to go. You can make it a clutch, a coin purse. All right, so now I'm here where our row is, our starting chain is. So I'm going to go through twice just to reinforce that, Now I'm going to stop working through both sides and I'm going to work up and around. So you'll just continue on, but this is your opening. And then let's get to the button loop, so we'll work around there. And you want this, you want to make sure that you're spread out evenly, as even as possible, as far as if it's too loose, like if you're spacing your stitches too far, it'll be like thinned out. Like this is pretty even, but if you put like if you put too many together, it'll bunch up, and if you put them too far apart, it here, let's see, I'll show you. It could bunch up here, like it could bunch that up. All right, if they're too far apart, your single crochets for the border and closing it up. All right, so that's something to be mindful of. But you just work around in a single crochet. And you weave in everything at the very end when you're done, because sometimes when you weave in earlier, and here I'm just gonna, okay, sometimes when you weave in earlier, as you're doing the border, you could end up hitting into where your strings are weaved in and then loosen them up and have to like fix and stuff, okay? So you don't want to do that. So wait till the very end to weave in. Here at the very top, we got the 3 single crochets, so you'll just work the 3 single crochets. And then continue on working down until we get to our second piece, so that we can attach that piece. So if you haven't, please subscribe. You can hit the pink KBG on the screen, and that's a subscribe also. I'll add this one to your list. I have other beginner friendly patterns and stuff like that. All right. Not all of my patterns are beginner friendly, but I do have several up there that, you know, are, that I walk you through and stuff like that. All right, so from here, I'm going to remove my stitch marker because it's just going to be in my way, and I want a smooth, you know, connection here. All right, so here, I got a paper. All right, so from here, you just follow this across, and that's where you're going to attach. That's where you're going to start sewing your other side, connecting that. And then you make sure you're going through both sides, both pieces. All right, so we said 2 to make sure we got it nice and secure, you know. And then you work down. Continue closing it up. So not too hard. I hope not too hard. I thought of this one, and I felt it was a beginner project, you know, because it is just single crochet. And then even with like the decreases, you know, I show you how to do it, so it's not too hard. And since we're decreasing like all the way from, you know, from the where the flap is down, you know, it's once you start, you know, I think it's not too hard. I think maybe the hardest part is doing this part. Seems probably like the hardest part, you know, because you're going through the 2 layers. So, but if you make it, you know, give a thumbs up and stuff. I hope you like it. And I hope you give it, you know, give it a try. Because it's pretty good. Now from here, if you want, it's your choice, of course. If you want, you can fully frame it. You can go across the bottom and end there, if you want. all right? Or you can just pull a tail and cut off. And so you would fold this over. You would fold this over. And just a little trick I do here. So if you don't have a marker or something to mark it with as to where you're going to put your button, you can use a yarn needle. And if it goes straight through, you know, if this is all straight to you and all of this, and it's not cockeyed or any kind of thing, all right, you can just push that through, and that's where you're going to put your button. So just a little trick, you know, so you see exactly where you're going to put your button. And then you would thread your yarn. You would thread a needle and sew this on. And let's see what else. All right. So if you wanted to, you can go across and finish the border. If not, you'll cut off, you'll weave in and sew your button on. You would thread your needle. From the back, you can pull out your yarn needle when you're done and sew your button on. So after your button is sewed or sewn, that's what you got. So you would weave in all your ends. All right, so you'd go with the pink, you know, you'd go down a few rows over, and, you know, snip off and stuff like that. And then with the blue, I would pull it on in to the inside of the bag and probably do it, you know, up and down like on the bottom to weave it in and cut off. Is usually what I do when I make these little pouches and stuff like that. But with that being said, so this is it, my little back to school pouch, you know, for the ladies, more or less for the ladies really. And it should be a good size to fit a pad or, you know, 2 pads or whatever it is, you know, for when you need to put them in your purse and stuff like that. And then it's a cute little purse. If you want to make it in different sizes, smaller, bigger, you know, you could make it a clutch, you know, if you're going out on, you know, whatever it is. And you're good to go. You just follow the, you know, you make your starting chain however big. You work the single crochet back and forth, and then, you know, when you feel you have the length, you know, you just do the decreases the way we did them and the buttonhole, and then you're good to go. So you can make this any size you want. So that's why like, you know, I always like, you know, to me, I think this is a good beginner project if you can, you know, just the basics, bare basics, single crochet, chaining, slip stitch, and the decrease, you know, is just crocheting but picking up an extra, you know, stitch over. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't, please subscribe. If you try to make this or you do make it, give it a thumbs up, comment below. I love the comments. I always try and respond, of course, you know. And as always, happy hooking, because it keeps you off the streets and out of trouble and looking super cool to all your friends. And I will be back very soon with my next tutorial. Have a super great day. Thanks for watching Crochet Basics with me, K.Jolie, and little pouch, back to school pouch. Have a super great day. Bye.